All right, we are live. Week 4, start sit Q&A, Patreon only, as always. If you guys want to be part of these, Patreon down below in the description. But we're going to start it off as we always do, talking about some of the biggest news of the week. There's a lot of it, especially players that are out. My Big Dogs Bash team is absolutely decimated because my starting receiver trio is Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Thomas with Chris Godwin on my bench. DeAndre Hopkins still suspended. So I'm starting Devontae Smith is my wide receiver 1, and I'm pretty sure Kendrick Bourne is my wide receiver 2 this week, which is absolutely yikes. So let's start with the players that are out. I just mentioned a couple of them. Michael Thomas, turf toe injury is what it sounds like. Probably
So annoying.
Week 5 to 6, but it's not, good news, especially for a guy that was dealing with lower body injuries. It is the opposite foot of the ankle injury that he was dealing with last year, though.
Guess who has him in my home league, by the way? Very frustrating situation.
Oh, I have him too.
And we'll get to the inactives too. By the way, that same home league team, Michael Thomas out, and I have Christian McCaffrey who's questionable. And since he plays at 4:25, I'm not sure if you've seen the slate this week. There's quite literally 3 4 p.m. games, the Sunday night and the Monday night.
They're all bad.
Yeah. So basically, like, if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play, like, I have to fucking scramble to figure out who I'm gonna play on the wire. Like, I might have to throw in like Cole Beasley or something because every person on my bench plays at 1.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal. Not gonna be ideal for sure. A couple other guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's out with an ankle injury. DeAndre Swift out with the shoulder injury, so you can fire up Jamal Williams as a top 15 type of running back. I'm gonna update my rankings right after this live stream, so they're not currently updated, but they will be updated. 1 o'clock or whatever. Keenan Allen hamstring injury. Apparently, he re-aggravated it too, which is not. So it's not only because he was close to playing last week, but apparently he aggravated it. Now he's probably going to be out next week. As well. I saw one of the fantasy docs said he's probably not going to be back next week either.
For an older receiver, re-aggravating that hamstring injury, that might sound like something that might linger for the rest of the season.
Yeah, sounds brutal. We also have David Montgomery out with the ankle/knee injury that he suffered last week. Khalil Herbert, obviously fire him up. He's a top 20 running back based on volume alone, potentially even an RB1 based on all volume alone. Hunter Renfrow still out with a concussion. Mac Jones will be out with his ankle injury. So Brian Hoyer is starting for the New England Patriots, and they're playing against the Green Bay Packers in the 4 p.m. window. And oddly, it's like the best game of the window, which is disgusting. Because we got Panthers, Cardinals, and I can't even remember what the other game is. It's terrible also.
I would be shocked if in that game, between the 4 running backs, we don't see 60, 70 combined opportunities between them. Like, it's going to be a slow paced, trust on your 2 backs for each team type of game. I'd be shocked if either team scored over 20 points.
In the Packers game? Yeah, definitely. Dak Prescott not ready to play quite yet. He's still dealing with the thumb injury. He's, aiming for next week by the sounds of it as the first opportunity for him to come back, but we'll still have to wait and see with him. He is, we'll get to the other Cowboys players that are going to be playing this week, but Dak Prescott is obviously the final piece of the puzzle as the quarterback.
Yep. And as soon as Dak comes back, this whole offense, obviously significant upgrade. CeeDee Lamb goes from, a mid-range wide receiver 2 to a wide receiver 1. Michael Gallup gets into that wide receiver 3 range, and this offense as a whole really takes an uptick. So if you can buy low on your Cowboys right now, I'm not just saying that because of the jerseys. Make sure you go to get.
I think Schultz especially is the greatest buy low of the whole offense because he's like a guy that can be a high-end top 5 tight end that you won't have to pay that kind of price for, and then. Not that it even matters anymore. Kadarius Toney's still out with a hamstring injury. I don't think it matters. But the core there is so decimated that how does he knock on the field now is basically my thought. If he's actually healthy, but he's not healthy. So get into something like that was questionable or / doubtful that I am really concerned for. Jameis Winston is officially listed as doubtful. He's probably not going to play. If I had to guess, it sounds like Andy Dalton is going to start. All indications are that that's what's going to happen. But he has technically not been officially ruled out yet. But it's probably going to happen. Pretty soon. The Buccaneers wide receivers are the ones that are really important, I think, because Chris Godwin, he's expected, by the sounds of it sounds like he's going to try and play. And same goes for Julio Jones. Both guys are listed as game time decisions, but the issue is that they play on Sunday Night Football, right? So for me, in my home league, I have Chris Godwin, but I also have Darrell Henderson as a pivot option for Monday Night Football. And I'm so screwed because I have Michael Thomas out in that league also. I'm so screwed at wide receiver this week that I have to wait and see if Godwin's going to play. And I have to pivot to Darrell Henderson if I have to. But that's basically how I'm handling it. But if you guys don't have Akers, you don't have Henderson, you don't have Allen Robinson or somebody on San Francisco, Brandon Ayuk or something like that.
By chance.
Wait on Chris Godwin. I would probably start a lot of wide receivers over him.
So I don't know why you're cutting out for me a little bit, but it's all good. Is Cordero Patterson? Because I know he is questionable for this game. What is his status going in?
He's officially listed as, he's going
Healthy?
to play. I think
Okay,
he's listed as
perfect.
questionable, but it's definitely possible he's not, out there, kind of thing.
Sounds good. Yeah. The main one of this week, for real, in my opinion, like is going to be Christian McCaffrey. Missed a couple practices. Obviously, if you have him, like he's not the type of player that you're gonna have a better option on your bench, so you might just go that route anyways. Like you have to take the risk that Christian McCaffrey plays, because if he does play, he's such a game changer in your lineup. But the problem, of course, is if he doesn't play and you're left in a situation where there's only 5 games and half of them are absolute atrocious. And let's be honest, like the best options on your waiver wire in those games are going to be guys like you got to pray maybe Deontay Foreman, like fucking, I'm sure Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, all those Bucs receivers are going to be owned. Like it's a rough sledding if you have Christian McCaffrey and he doesn't play on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like, I mean, he was downgraded in practice Wednesday and Thursday with the thigh injury. Did he end up getting on the field at all in practice on Friday? Did he practice limited?
I think he played limited, yeah.
Yeah, but either way, it's not looking good. I have Hubbard stashed on my bench. I'm not excited about this backfield's handcuffs, though, because I do think they'll probably split carries and split touches between Foreman and Hubbard. If Christian McCaffrey's out, I don't think one guy over the other will just get a huge workload. So definitely have to wait and see. During the preseason, I believe Hubbard played over Deontay Foreman, but I think Deontay Foreman played like the long down and distance, third down stuff. So I do think they'll kind of mix and match those guys. Another one that's pretty concerning is Marquise Brown, because he is listed as a true game time decision, and he popped up with a new foot injury on Friday that downgraded him in the practice report. So that's definitely concerning as well. For those, usually when that happens, I would say the guy's probably not going to play.
I agree with that. I don't think he's going to play as well. I think obviously the biggest beneficiary here is going to be James Conner and Zach Ertz for the most part. People might be quick to anoint Greg Dortch, but not having Marquise Brown on the field, limited sample size for Greg Dortch in this offense.
Rondale Moore is potentially going to play. Also,
is he playing?
Debut. He is listed as questionable, and he did practice in a limited capacity all week. And one of the injury docs says when wide receivers have hamstring injuries and they practice limited all week, they usually play.
Are they trying to set a record for the shortest receiving core in the league?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Joking. So, and then a couple guys that are in. Dalvin Cook is playing, even despite the shoulder injury. He apparently has a high risk of re-injury that could end his season, according to one of the sports doctors that I follow. So make sure you guys got Madison. If he's available in your league, drop the house on him before he gets available. And also, if you have Dalvin Cook, I would maybe try and shop him before tomorrow if you possibly can. Zach Wilson's going to start for the New York Jets. Also, he's definitely going to be back. Both Michael Gallup and Dalton Schultz are expected to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Gallup will probably be limited snap pitch count of some kind in his first game back, but he is not even on the injury report, so he's good to go. Same goes for J.K. Dobbins, who made his debut last week.
For those of you that actually have Michael Gallup, a very interesting point. Apparently, there's a rumor that's going around from Dallas's perspective that he was cleared fully medically. Like the Cowboy staff said, "Yo, Michael, like you're ready to go. If you want to play Monday Night Football, like you're cleared by us." And he basically said, "Like, nah, I want to take it a week. I don't want to play this week, and then I'll."
He said
come
specifically,
back
"I don't want to have what happened to Chris Godwin."
Yeah.
Is what he said.
Yeah, he basically just said, I don't want to rush it. I want to be fully healthy when I get back. And he had the opportunity to play on Monday, and he basically said, no, get me back fully healthy. Believe in this team to get the win without me. And sure enough, they ended up getting that win on Monday.
Yeah, definitely. Cowboys are in a much better position than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
2-1 right now with Cooper Rush, or 2-1 overall, 2-0 with Cooper Rush.
2-1 favored in this matchup.
The Buccaneers, when they were fully healthy, pretty much. So definitely not too bad.
With that team, I mean, 2-1, favored in this matchup against Washington, a team that they've historically played well against. And I mean, I would personally be shocked if they do lose this game. So if you're going in 3-1, going up next week against the LA Rams, that's as good of a position as you possibly could have asked.
Yeah. So speaking of disgusting questions here, if Christian McCaffrey is out, this is what my flexes look like right now in my home league. It's so bad. I got to start either Noah Brown or Chuba Hubbard.
I would go Noah Brown.
I think I would too, but if McCaffrey is out, I also have J.D. McKissick on my bench that I suppose I could throw in as well, but I think I'm going to go probably Noah Brown regardless.
Yep. Here. So we got the first comment, we live. Let's go, boys. Happy Sunday Eve. Let's go, bro. Big Sunday slate coming tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I can't wait for the 9:30 game, man. I don't know what it is.
The 1 p.m. slate is loaded. Also.
Oh, it's loaded, but I mean, like, I just can't wait being able to wake up early, make a coffee, maybe make some breakfast, some eggs or whatever the case may be. And you're chilling. It'll feel like you're watching like a soccer game because it's so early. Like that's always the vibe I get when I watch the 9:30 game is like, yo, like this is so early. It doesn't feel like football, but I kind of like this change of pace.
Yeah, it's also like in a soccer stadium too, so that definitely
Literally.
contributes to that as well.
Wanye asks Rashad Bateman, AJ Dillon, Khalil Herbert, DJ Moore, Romeo Dubs. Pick 3 and sit 2. So the first 3 are actually going to be the ones in my lineup this week.
Yeah, I don't mind DJ Moore this week, but
I'm scared about that Panthers offense.
Close. I think the 2 running backs are definitely in my lineup 100%.
Yeah.
The final decision would be between Rashad Bateman and DJ Moore, and I think I do lean Rashad Bateman just given the point total expected in that game. Even though he's not 100% on the field like DJ Moore is, I don't want to watch the Carolina Panthers offense if I don't have to.
Yep. So we do have another chat. I avoided Cook this year because of y'all. That's why I appreciate that, man.
I wish I took my own advice.
Well, dude, I remember when you said, yo, I just picked Dalvin Cook in my home league. I'm like, what are you doing, Corey?
Yeah, I told you at the time why I considered picking him. I'm like, you know what? My league mates are very reactive early on in the season. If Dalvin Cook has a great week early on, I can probably sell him high and get exactly the type of player I was looking for. Maybe even tier up like to an Austin Eckler type or something. The problem is Dalvin Cook, not only has he not been good, he's also banged up now. Yeah. So thank God I have Madison. And again, I'm not a big proponent of handcuffing your own running backs, but Cook and Aaron Jones are the 2 cases where you absolutely, and Ezekiel Elliott you absolutely know who the handcuff is, and you know he's going to get a huge workload if they go out.
And with Madison too, by the way, I have him in both of my home leagues. Like we know if Dalvin Cook misses a week or if Dalvin Cook misses a few weeks, like Madison's a 20+ opportunity per game, top 10 level running back.
I kind of hope Dalvin Cook just goes down. I just have Madison because also I have so many, because I did listen to our advice on an underdog perspective. I have Dalvin Cook on underdog, and I have plenty of Madison. So I also wouldn't mind Cook going down to help save some of my underdog teams.
Would you guys go AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones or Aaron Jones and Khalil Herbert? JT is the other running back. This is actually a really good question. I would go Herbert or AJ Dillon. I would lean slightly Khalil Herbert. Even if you want to do it as a tiebreaker, you want to have one Packers running back, one Bears running back, rather than both the Packers running backs. It's another thing, but they're both in that RB 15 to 20 range, I would say. So if you want to spice it up, get some more upside, I would go with Herbert over Dillon.
Yeah, it's tough because if AJ Dillon punches 2 touchdowns in, not only does Aaron Jones not get those, that you're gonna be absolutely sick that you didn't start Dillon either. Yeah. So it's kind of a tough situation to be in. I don't mind going, if you're ahead after the 1 p.m. slate, going with the 4 p.m. running backs or whatever. I guess Herbert plays at 1 p.m. though, so you wouldn't know that. But yeah, I think I'd go Herbert and Aaron Jones as well.
Yep. Would you trust Zach Wilson over Geno Smith or wait 1 week after playing Pittsburgh defense? If you're a little bit worried, coming off the injury, you kind of want to see how this Jets offense looks. I don't mind taking the passive route here, honestly. I think Zach Wilson may be a better play, but realistically, I mean, coming off the injury, what do you really have to gain from, putting out a risk option on, let's be honest, as high as I am on Zach Wilson, he has to prove that he could be an every week top 15 to 20 quarterback until I see it. He's a low end quarterback too, I'd say.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards Zach Wilson just because it's not like you have a great option to pivot to. But Geno Smith, I mean, they're throwing the ball, they're running pretty
good matchup.
Like I don't mind just playing Geno Smith, but if you want to go with I do think the ceiling play is Zach Wilson because I think Geno Smith is pretty limited from like a passing standpoint, and we could always have a 3 touchdown game out of Zach Wilson. He's shown he can run quite a bit as well. So that's a tough decision. I personally would probably go Geno Smith unless you're down from Thursday Night Football. Somebody had T Higgins or something like that.
I'd agree with that. Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, Justin Fields, and Rashad Bateman in a full PPR 1 quarterback dynasty startup. I would say that's really close. Because I mean, Fields and Wilson are probably about a stalemate in terms of market value right now. It depends what you prefer. I would much prefer
Wilson at market value because I think with Fields, I'm like legit scared that he might just be a bust. Like with Wilson, maybe you could make the same argument for Wilson, but to me, I've seen more out of Wilson. Plus, there's the unknown factor because he hasn't played yet this year. And I know, like we always talk about in Dynasty, the infrastructure around him and all that kind of stuff. It is a 1 quarterback league, so the quarterbacks factor in a little bit less than normal. And I would rather have Elijah Moore than Rashad Bateman in Dynasty. So I would go with the 2 Jets.
Yep. No, that's fine. I would slightly lean that way as well, but it is still relatively close, especially in a one quarterback league. Elijah Moore, give me Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I'll take Elijah Moore there. Dawson Knox isn't really enough of a difference maker at tight end premium.
I was just about to say it, by the way. Happy Elijah Moore week. I'm not sure if you've seen a lot. Like I follow Elijah Moore on Twitter, and like all week, this guy's just basically like trust the process. There's one tweet in particular.
Classic receiver tweets.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. There was one tweet this week, and it got me fired up. Tough times don't last. Trust me. ... this week.
Oh yeah, he's going off this week. I'm so excited. Nothing would make me happier. You guys are going to see a very happy me on Monday morning. So we're recording a Dynasty Decisions. You guys that are listening to this are all patrons. If you want to submit, updated Dynasty Decisions, maybe if you've already made submissions or whatever, we're going to record a Dynasty Decisions episode on Monday morning. And if Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson have a huge connection, a huge day, you're going to see some very happy campers in that video. So definitely interesting. Is Gabe Davis playing this week? The report that I saw was that he should be trying to play, was what I saw.
What I saw is that he re-aggravated it.
Really? I saw Underdog NFL tweeted out that he is going to try and play.
He might try to play, but I did hear that he re-aggravated the ankle injury this week.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would definitely downgrade him at the very least, if not just sit him altogether. He said he himself said, I'm playing Sunday.
Okay. Well, there was a report this week that he re-aggravated the injury in practice. So if you have him, I'd monitor that status. Very risky, very volatile, wide receiver 3 type of option. Like he's usually obviously a wide receiver 2, but given the risk, given the ankle injury, maybe he gets a limited snap share. I would more so put him in that wide receiver 30 range rather than the wide receiver 20 range that he's been in.
I'm still probably going to have him in the low 20s, I think, because the options once you get outside that area are like, would you rather start Gabe Davis or Garrett Wilson this week?
I'd go Wilson.
What about Curtis Samuel?
That's a tough one. Full PPR, I might lean Curtis.
Yeah, like that's I think the range you're talking about, and to me those are like my early 20s receivers, because when you get to the 30s, we're talking like and like guys like that. I'm not quite as high on those type of guys.
I was more so talking like the 30 on the dot range, like the Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman type of area.
Right.
Relatively close though. Week 4, no. Wait, what's no?
Now, I think he means now is it time to start Breece Hall over Michael Carter?
I think it is. I talked.
So. Yeah, I would have really not wanted to put myself into that situation by owning both of those guys, to be honest. But I would say, if I had to choose one to start, it would be Breece Hall.
I talked about on the running back start sit show, but basically we did see that Breece Hall has started to carve into that running back role, that rush attempt share. We did see this past week, I think he had a 51% rushing share of that backfield, and he's gotten elite utilization in terms of his row participation, given the circumstance, and in terms of short down and distance and long down and distance situations. So if he keeps cracking into that rush share, maybe gets up to that 55-60 range this week, and can be on the field for a more or a higher percentage of the snaps. I mean, we know the talent is there. We know the pass catching ability is there. He's the archetype where if he does get that heightened snap share, we could be looking at like a high end RB2 rest of the season if he gets that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think both of the running backs will take a hit from a targets perspective, because Flacco just was throwing dump off running backs at just an absolutely absurd rate. And that's another thing that I think people are underestimating with Elijah Moore and the receivers, is that like just how many targets were being funneled to the running back position and to the tight ends, to be honest, too.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see more, pun intended, of what we expected to see, which is a target concentration with the wide receivers in this offense with more Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis.
And I mean, like the raw targets weren't even a problem for Elijah Moore this past week. I mean, he had 10 targets, just the quality of targets he was seeing from Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, I'm sorry, like you're not getting 2012 Joe Flacco anymore. Like this is a 38-year-old, like soon to be retired type of Joe Flacco. Like he's got the arm strength of Corey on a Sunday morning after golf. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, literally.
Like it's pretty awful. And people are wondering, well, is Garrett Wilson, the alpha here now? Well, no. I mean, he's playing a more advantageous role for what Joe Flacco wants. Zach Wilson's got a fucking hose. Like Zach Wilson, if Elijah Moore gets open deep, Zach Wilson's going to be able to put it on the money to him. So that's the one thing that people have to acknowledge, is that because Elijah Moore's been playing that pure X type of role working down the field, he hasn't gotten those quality targets from Joe Flacco, because Joe Flacco simply doesn't have the zip to be able to get it to him at this point in his career. So that's the major thing I'm really excited about with Zach Wilson coming in for Elijah Moore. And if you don't already have Elijah Moore, send your offers, man. Like Jahan Dotson straight up might be able to get you Elijah Moore at this point.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of like fringe guys like that. You might be able to get it done for Elijah Moore. Like I think most people, more casual like fantasy players or whatever, I'm just like looking at the area. Like you might be able to flip Tyler Boyd for Elijah Moore right now. Like after the weeks that Tyler Boyd's had, maybe even like a Russell Gage or like an Alan Lazard type gets you to Elijah Moore, which is pretty insane. Romeo Dobbs, like somebody like that, it'd be pretty crazy if you're able to flip those type of players for Elijah Moore, because the ability is still definitely there. Half PPR, this is gross. Choose one: McKissick, Craig Reynolds, Eno Benjamin, Dontrell Hilliard, Justice Hill. Leaning Reynolds. I think I would just go with the safety of the role of JD.
I go
McKissick
Hill.
Here.
Oh, yeah, McKissick's there. Fair. I would go with JD McKissick, but I am not all the way out on Justice Hill.
Yeah, he would actually be my second choice. I think.
We did see this past week again. It could be, the Ravens were easing J.K. Dobbins back into play, but him and J.K. Dobbins got a relatively similar usage this past week. About 40% snap share for both of them. Used, opposite situations in terms of their utilization. So I would prefer McKissick out of these options, but I do think Hill, or like for example, if anything happened to McKissick, prior to Sunday, Hill would be my number 2 here.
Yeah, for sure. I do also think there's a chance that Craig Reynolds has a bigger workload than we're expecting, because Jamal Williams and him kind of split work when Swift was out last year. But I probably want to see that first. I'd probably just go with the same like in this situation. Pick 2 flex PPR: Bateman, Ayuk, Zeke. I am already starting Cook and Khalil Herbert at running back, Tyreek and Sutton at wide receiver. So between these options, who are you sitting? I think Bateman's probably for sure in my lineup of these guys. And
That's
then
close.
It comes really down to Ayuk and Zeke.
I mean, that's close. I think I would lean Zeke, because I think there's a really, really good chance he scores a touchdown in this game, which, but maybe that's a little bit biased, but side note, I do have a parlay on this game, and one of the bets actually includes Ezekiel Elliott first got a touchdown score for the Cowboys. So I do think, say CeeDee Lamb gets, a 50-yard bomb and downs it on the 3-yard line, and they're going to run it 3 times to Zeke like they always seem to do, especially with a backup quarterback. There's a very good chance that he scores in this game, because I do think that the Cowboys offensive line, the way it's been playing, the Cowboys offense, the way it's been playing, is a little bit of a mismatch for Washington this week. I genuinely see this line -3 and think, well, did Vegas not see what the Cowboys have been doing these past couple of weeks with Cooper Rush and at quarterback? Like, this is still a top 15 level team, even with Cooper Rush at quarterback. I think there's a really good possibility where this is a pure positive game script scenario for Ezekiel Elliott. He gets, 20 opportunities, which, by the way, he has full autonomy as soon as the Cowboys are inside the 5, as soon as the Cowboys are in short down and distance situations, which, if you're expecting that offense to score points against Washington, is going to give you a lot of opportunity. A long-winded answer to say Ezekiel Elliott, I think, is going to have, 15 to 20 points this week, which is a better projection, I would say, than what Brandon Ayuk has with Jimmy Garoppolo on Sunday night or Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Apparently he was talking about just a start sit decision. I would actually, if I were you, I would go Zach Wilson and Bateman if you don't have to. But Elijah Moore, stack it up. You're in a rebuild, so you don't even need to win. Just go for the fun of having the stack in the lineup. That's where I'm at with my rebuilds. I'm just going to play some fun players that I want to watch.
Yep, I would agree with that. Need JJ to get back on track. So I think he will. We did see this past week, which, by the way, I just want to quickly give my shout out. Thank goodness we're seeing a fully healthy Jeff Okudah now, because, I mean, he was a disaster in the first couple games last year. He tore his Achilles, and I'm not sure if you've seen like how he's been playing receivers this year, but he's flat out just pure 2-punch press manning fucking receivers like they're his children. Like, it's pretty hilarious to watch. He is playing with confidence. He's playing with swagger. And we've seen these first few weeks, Jeff Okudah looks like one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. So the way that the Detroit basically played against Justin Jefferson last week was Jeff Okudah was two-hand punching him at the line, and they were bracketing him over the top. any receiver is going to struggle against that type of coverage. Obviously, with Justin Jefferson this week, he's still a top 3 level talent in the league. They still need to get him the ball. They saw last week that the offense was a struggle coming out of the gate. The offense was a struggle to put up points coming out of the gate against Detroit. I feel like Justin Jefferson, the skill level that he has, they want to get him going early. They want to get him going often. And this is the week where he goes, 30 plus fantasy points like he did in week 1.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the Jeff Okudah strategy is they're probably going to operate the same exact strategy against Metcalf this week.
Yep, agreed.
And that's why I have Lockett very high in my weekly rankings, because I think Lockett's going to have a great game. Because I do think Metcalf is probably going to get the Okudah plus bracket treatment.
Yeah, I mean,
the way I have the over in that game in one of my parlays, but I made the bet before Amon-Ra and Swift were ruled out, so I'm kind of nervous about it because the over/under is pretty high in that game. But hopefully that one's still high scoring regardless.
Also, want to say one thing because I have it on my other monitor. Blake Corum is an absolute stud. Now we'll go back to the questions.
Yeah, I don't even know if the Texas game is on yet. I think it's at 3:30 if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, I think obviously, he wasn't as one of the more hyped up backs coming into the season, but when it's all said and done, I think Blake Corum's going to be a day 2 pick. And I think Blake Corum, as long as he tests well, is going to be a very valuable fantasy asset, given his efficiency and given what he showed in the passing game this past year. This year hasn't really been, the case in terms of getting those dump offs, getting those plays in the passing game because of how electric JJ McCarthy has been for this offense. But I mean, he showed last year, he had about 30 receptions this past year. So, I'm done talking about Michigan players, but I'm excited about Blake Corum. Let's get to the next question. I need Zach Wilson not to be a bust so bad. I don't think he will be, but we'll see this year. Really, I mean, he's got the scheme, he's got the weapons. It's just a matter of fact that he just needs to perform now.
Yeah, literally, there's no excuses. And if he's dog shit this year, I will take it on the chin because we've probably more than any other human beings on earth hyped up Zach Wilson. I swear to God, we believe in Zach Wilson more than Jets fans do. So, if Gabe Davis does play this week, should I trade him for before Sunday with Rashad Bateman? The trade would be Bateman and Zay Jones for Gabe Davis and Julio Jones. So I absolutely 100% would not buy Julio Jones at any point right now.
Agreed.
I saw Dr. Jesse Morris did a video on like what his knee condition is right now for a receiver his age. Not a fucking chance I'm buying Julio Jones right now. So that leans me towards the Bateman side.
There's a realistic chance that he plays like 3 games rest of the season.
There's a realistic chance that he plays 3 snaps the rest of the season. Yeah. Like if he tries to go to this week, I promise you he will get injured.
Damn.
Based on what Dr. Jesse Morris was talking about. And he said the same thing. He's like, do not start him Sunday night.
Trying to trade Herbert and Cordell for Mike Evans and James Robinson. Pray for me. If you could pull this off, all the power to you, because that is an absolute heist.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty lateral move, James Robinson to Cordell Patterson, but that's a huge upgrade from Herbert to Mike Evans.
Rahul says start Penny, James, Mac Hollins, Robert Woods. Fire up Rashad Penny. This is Rashad Penny week. We saw this past week the utilization was fully there. Highest snap share this week, this past week. Role participation, everything from the.
That's because Homer's on IR, which is huge for Penny. Travis Homer was like the designated third down guy, and that work is going to Penny because we know. I mean, Kenneth Walker needed some development in that area,
Yep.
So definitely Rashad Penny saw a big time upgrade with Homer going to IR. Yeah, I think he's clearly the best option here.
I think there's a realistic case that he can be like a top 5 to 10 running back this week in terms of his ceiling going up against Detroit.
Yeah, and didn't he go up? Wasn't the Detroit game was the Chess Liam winning Best Ball Mania game last week, right? Or last year?
Shout out Chess Liam. I almost said Chess Million, which I mean could be his nickname.
He did win $1,001,000. So
there you go.
Should I try and trade for Jameson Williams in my redraft league, or is Jared Goff not going to be able to make 2 wide receivers relevant like Joe Burrow can? So I would say that's probably like a false narrative about Jared Goff. I think if he has 2 great wide receivers, he'll be just fine. Right. The issue is, is Jameson Williams going to be strictly a stretch the field type of receiver? Because then maybe you have some concerns about Jared Goff, but I do think he's a great guy to go after in trades.
Well, I mean, let's look at a similar case, right? I wouldn't say, I would say basically the Cowboys offense with Cooper Rush is probably a comparable case to what we see for Jared Goff in that Detroit offense, right? You got your alpha receiver with CeeDee Lamb versus Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we've seen that when Michael Gallup
receiver for a second,
huh?
I thought you said you have
alpha.
Your
No.
Receiver and CeeDee Lamb.
No. But the reason why I'm saying that is we've seen that there's room for 31 passing attempts per game for Dallas, and yet Noah Brown showed that he could be a capable wide receiver too. So the narrative that, this team can't support 2 wide receivers, if the receivers are good enough, if the receivers can get open, Like, they're going to get the ball. And Jamison Williams, again, I love Noah Brown. He's my boy. He's my cowboy, but he doesn't hold a candle in terms of talent to what Jamison Williams represents. Like, Jamison Williams can go out there and be this year's Jalen Waddle when he gets back on the field.
Yeah, it's good. I think the closing part of the season is going to be insane. Once Sky Moore starts getting more routes, once Jamison Williams is back, once there's a couple Traylon Burks now, he's getting a full, allotment of routes. I think this rookie class is just going to do exactly what the last couple rookie classes have done. Olave, Drake London, and Garrett Wilson are leading the pack and leading the charge right now, but I think the other guys are going to start to step it up as the season goes along. Maybe David Bell as well, somebody that we talked about, maybe Christian Watson even too.
For me personally, right, in my home league, obviously I'm upset that Michael Thomas isn't playing, but it also gave me an excuse now that I can play Traylon Burks in my lineup. Obviously disappointing last week in terms of points, but probably the most encouraging week in terms of usage. Like, he played all of the snaps basically as a full-fledged wide receiver for the Titans this past week. Everybody's going to be off him because of the production. If you bought low, congrats, because I do think this is the week that he fires up.
I kind of want to start Zach Wilson in the Tone Setter Truthers League, but I have I feel like Marcus Mariota is just the way better start, so I'm just not going to do it. But
Bush, let's keep it a buck. No matter who you start, you're going to beat my team.
Yeah, that's facts. I mean, Jamar Chase just did absolutely skidly fuck for me on Thursday night, though. So
fair. Should I trade DJ Moore for Elijah Moore then in my redraft league? Rest of the season, who you taking, DJ Moore or Elijah Moore? I think I have my answer.
That's a close discussion, man.
I have my answer.
I think I'd probably take the ceiling of Elijah because I think even at the absolute nuts range of outcomes, you're looking at like a high-end wide receiver 3 with DJ Moore.
Agree with that. Yeah, that's how I view it as well.
And I think if Wilson is the player that I think he can turn into throughout this season, I think Elijah Moore can be a wide receiver 2, even if Garrett Wilson's much better than him.
Agreed. Is Dobbins going to be a bust? I don't feel great about him. Don't worry about it. I mean,
I'm not taking away too much from that. I think, after 5 games or so, if we can, confidently say that Dobbins doesn't look the same, then maybe that statement's right, but I'm definitely going to give it some more time for sure.
Agreed. Which side is the trade? Elijah Moore and Goddard or Sky Moore, Dotson, Brevin Jordan, and Mostert in a dynasty super.
Dynasty super flex.
I'm still taking Elijah and Goddard though.
Yeah, I am as well. I think for me, Elijah Moore. Would you rather have the 2 young receivers there or Elijah Moore?
It's probably fair. What I was gonna basically say though, the way I kind of worked it is I would rather Elijah Moore than Sky, Brevin Jordan, and Mostert, and then like Goddard. Goddard and Dotson is basically like a cancelable type of trade.
That's fair.
Yeah, maybe you prefer Goddard in that exchange. Weekly reminder to trade CAH. Finally got a first from. That is fucking crazy. You got a first for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Give yourself a pat on the back. This guy had 34% of the snaps this past week. 34% of the snaps, but people don't realize it because he scored a touchdown. He had a decent fantasy day. Like, if you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire on your team, sell him. Like you may not be able to get first round value, but I mean, you're probably not going to be able to, or you're probably going to be able to. How am I going to say this?
You know what I think is a great way to sell Clyde Edwards-Helaire is go after some of these underperforming rookie receivers. Go after Sky Moore and go after, some of these other dudes, George Pickens, maybe if somebody's not interested in like that kind of show. I think going after a young wide receiver using CEH is probably the play because people are hesitant to give up first round picks for him. So, and it's understandable.
We mentioned the rookie receivers, that could potentially pop off. Big positive for George Pickens this past week. 7 targets, saw his targets per route run go up. He's looking like a full-fledged wide receiver. First couple games, he was used mostly on 9 routes. He's mostly used on posts. He's mostly used on curls. But we have seen that he's starting to earn targets on those routes. And if he can develop that full route tree, I'm excited for his potential for the rest of the season. If you pointed me right now and you said who would you rather prefer rest of the season, him or Claypool? I would take George Pickens.
Yeah, that's a fair take for sure.
How does Terry do against the Cowboys? He's a really good receiver, but I mean, if Trayvon Diggs is going to give him the treatment, Trayvon Diggs has played fucking amazing this week.
Played very good against Terry specifically too.
Oh yeah, no,
in years past.
Terry has, I think, had 2 catches on him all of last season in garbage.
Well, he had one game he left with a concussion early, but the other game he didn't do very well in either. So
he had 2 catches in garbage time in the second game, if I'm not mistaken. Again, he's still a phenomenal receiver, but I think Washington's going to know, like, oh, if they're taking away Terry McLaurin with Trayvon Diggs, like Curtis Samuel showed out well. Jahan Dotson, we finally have a capable outside receiver to pair with Terry McLaurin. So I am a little bit worried in terms of the potential ceiling. Again, Terry's still going to get his because he's a good receiver, but I don't think he has, that top 12 level ceiling in him this week.
Yeah, agreed. I think I'm pretty much on the same page. I don't think Terry's a must start for sure this week.
Garrett is out. Falcons plus 100 looking good. The Falcons are actually like one of the sneakier teams that can like hang around this year. I mean, we saw this past week, or was it this week or last week where they actually almost came back against the Rams. Week 1, they lost by 1 against the Saints. Like, they're not a great team,
they were winning that entire game too.
Yeah, like they're not a great team, but they've shown that they can at least be competitive. Going up, like again, Jacoby Brissett has played extremely well. This Browns offense has looked extremely good, but I mean, we're still talking about Jacoby Brissett. Like the wheels can fall off at any single point for any volatile backup quarterback. So Falcons plus 100. I don't think that's the best bad bet at home. Myles Garrett obviously out. By the way, prayers up for him and his family due to that car crash, because that was an awful story hearing about. By the way, what a cyborg. He literally said he was going to try to play this week. Unfortunately, he didn't. But imagine getting
if we built an all freaks team, I think Myles Garrett would be the starting defensive end for sure.
Oh, easily. Yeah, no, that's a lock there. Would you guys trade Bateman for Gabe Davis then? Who would you rather have the rest of the season now with the aggravated ankle? I think I would still slightly prefer Gabe Davis, but like they're pretty close, like because that ankle.
I'm taking Gabe Davis still. I think I don't think this will be a very huge problem rest of the season for him.
Agreed. Are we thinking about maybe trading CMC with the injury? Absolutely not, because you're not going to get the value for him.
Yeah,
he's top 3 running back.
Yeah, who's gonna nobody's gonna give you Taylor or Barkley straight up, and those are like the equivalent running backs that you'd want. And even if you are willing to tear down for like a health standpoint, like is it really worth going down from CMC to Fournette or something?
No.
I think it's probably just wise to just hold them.
Y'all saying Hollywood injury is serious? Then do you fire up Devontae, DJ Moore, or Garrett Wilson? If Hollywood does not play in this game, I would go Garrett Wilson. I think him and Devon. All these guys are in like that wide receiver 3, top 30-ish type of range.
Yeah, it's not serious necessarily, but it's not encouraging knowing that he was downgraded the way he was in the injury report. So yeah, it's something that we need to monitor, and that he very well could be out for this game for sure.
Agreed. Is JSN still the top 20 wide receiver 2023 prospect or big fade? Corey, you can talk about your wide receiver.
I have Jordan Addison wide receiver 1. I've honestly been neck and neck between those guys for a while, and Addison has they both have good analytics profiles, but Addison has a little bit of a worse analytics profile because he's a bit smaller. But I mean, Addison's playing very well right now. JSN has been banged up. I'm not going to, say that JSN's falling out of my top 5 overall players. I still think he's going to be a top 5, top 6 overall prospect in the 2023 class, assuming some of the quarterbacks don't suddenly just all get first round draft capital. But I think definitively the only guys I would rather have than JSN are the top 2 quarterbacks and Bijan and Sean Tucker right now. And Addison. So he's still my a top 6 player for me.
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, dude, your team is looking very loaded there. I believe he has Lamar and Kyler in that league, so he's got a very, very good team over there. If Marquise Brown is out, who should I start in place of him? DJ Moore, Romeo Doubs, Traylon Burks, or Zay Jones? I would still go with DJ Moore, but I mean, if we see the breakout week for Traylon Burks, he's going to be leading that group next week and moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Should I trade Kyle Pitts for Darren Waller 2023 1 and 2024 1 in my Dynasty Startup League? If you are a rebuilder, I would hold, as counterintuitive as it sounds, because you're giving up you're getting picks. If you're a rebuilder, I would hold Kyle Pitts. If you're a contender, need production right now, it's not the worst offer, but it all depends on what your situation for your team is, in my opinion.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm placing a 3-team parlay on money lines right now. I'm taking 3 dogs, and I kind of like all 3 of them. So whoever mentioned the Falcons thing, they're one of them.
That's a good one.
Take the Falcons money line, the Bears money line against the Giants, because the Giants are starting me, Danny, and Mr. Magoo out there at wide receiver.
Which by the way,
what's up?
I was just gonna say David Sills is their leading receiver in terms of routes run right now, and this guy is putrid. He's awful. By the way, shout out because he was a quarterback got offered by USC when he was 13 years old. I'm not sure if you remember that story.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yep.
He was in the JJ Arcega-Whiteside receiver class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because both of those guys were like kind of similar skill sets. They were like big white dudes that can go up
Can't
and get it kind of
separate.
thing. And then the Jets money line is the other one that I took because our New York Jets.
Yep. Would love to see Jets and Zach Wilson beat the Steelers this week more than anything. Yeah, no,
I
I
officially
do
have
hope
some
so.
stock in it actually happening now. So
W. Do not start Alec Pierce over Terry McLaurin there, Corey.
no, yeah, it's too aggressive.
Even Rondell.
I mean, it's closer, but I would still start Terry.
Agree with that. Off to work, y'all boys. Stay groovy. Appreciate that, Goon Boy. Appreciate you tuning in the stream and contributing to the questions. Means a lot, brother.
Yeah. So ask away any other questions you guys have.
Yep.
We'll probably answer a couple more if you guys want to fire some away. But otherwise, we'll probably head out of here. We will be live at the normal time, despite there'll be a game on while we're live tomorrow. So that'll be kind of an interesting dynamic.
I'll have it on my other monitor.
Yeah, and I'll be live tilting because I have Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and Alvin Kamara, and I have Michael Thomas, but he's not playing.
And Jefferson
in my home league,
listener league. Jefferson listener league.
Yeah, Jefferson and Kirk Cousins in the listener league as well. So yeah, I'll definitely be have some stock in that game. It is a $50 bet. It pays out $535.
Dude, I mentioned the same game parlay that I made for the Dallas game, right? It might be a little psychotic because I'm putting $55 on the line, but it does pay off like $1,700 if it hits. Go big or go home, like I say. I sent it in the group chat. Let me just quickly find it here. But where is?
Oh, did I send you the bet that I made on Thursday night? That almost hit. Dude, I had Joe Mixon first touchdown parlayed with the Dolphins defense scoring a touchdown. And if the Dolphins defense had scored a touchdown, that would have been a $20 bet to pay $1,100.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy.
Because Mixon scored the first touchdown. I was like, oh man, like if only I had like done like a better or like a way more likely thing of happening to go along with the Mixon first touchdown.
So in this parlay, right, 55-1705, Michael Parsons to record a sack. Didn't have a sack last week, but I mean, his pressures were absolutely insane. Got so many. I think he gets home this week. Cooper Rush under 31.5 passing attempts. Again, I expect the Cowboys to win this game. I expect him to be up early, and he hasn't crossed 31 passing attempts in each of the last 2 games. Seems like the Cowboys game plan wants to keep him under control from a volume standpoint. CeeDee Lamb over 62.5 receiving yards. Nobody on Washington cover him, point blank simple. And Ezekiel Elliott to score the first touchdown for the Cowboys. $55 bet to pay $17.05.
Damn, that's a big one.
Oh yeah.
Trade DJ Moore for Brandon Cooks. Yeah, honestly, I think I'd rather have Brandon Cooks.
I would hold DJ Moore for a guy.
The difference between these two guys is that Brandon Cooks they're the exact same type of player. They're both bad offenses, but Cooks has better usage than DJ Moore does. And honestly, too, we've seen Brandon Cooks be wide receiver 2 production despite his quarterback play. So I probably would rather have Cooks.
That's relatively close.
Jets money line. It's Jets money line that I took. It's plus 150 on the Jets money line, plus 130 on the Bears money line, plus 104 on the Falcons money line. Parlayed together is plus 1,073 on the odds.
Yep. I have 4 first upcoming, 2 of them early, but likely not the 101. Are you giving 2 first to get Bijan? Absolutely.
I mean, it depends. Like, what first are you giving up?
Yeah, I mean,
if they want the 102, like if you have the 102 and 103, and the 101 is Bijan,
yeah, no, not that
2 quarterbacks there, then I'm not doing that. But if you have like the 109 as your other first, and they want the 102 and the 109 for the 101, yeah, I'm cool doing that.
Yep, I agree. What's your view on Najee Harris rest of the season? Low end running back 1.
Yeah, low end running back 1, high end RB2 kind of thing. His workload being diminished is very bad for him for his outlook, because that was what all he was basically, was a huge workload guy. He's like more in line with like a David Montgomery type now than what he was before.
Yep. Is Bijan really? Yeah, he's absolutely a tier above. He's probably 2 tiers above.
I would argue too. You didn't even mention Tucker there. I think Tucker might even be a tier above all those other guys too.
Yep. What's going on, boys? Got counter offered this trade. What do you guys think? Full PPR redraft. I said AJ Brown, Najee. Oh, a lot of moving parts. Jesus. So Brown and Javonte in terms of value is what, relatively even, I would say.
I think I'd rather have AJ Brown though.
I'd agree with that. I think I would take the Brown side, but that's relatively. You get Etienne and Burks on the end there.
Yeah, I think I'm taking the Javonte side. That's where
I would. Leaning. I didn't see Etienne and
I think
Burks.
I like every piece in your side, in the Javonte side of the deal, like to some degree, versus like I'm not high on Najee. I'm not really high on Allen Robinson. Gerald Everett's I think, probably a negative regression candidate. Like, I don't think that they're all like great pieces. I think I would much rather have Pitts than Everett. AJ Brown, Javonte is close enough. I would rather have like Bateman plus ETN for Najee, or Bateman plus Burks for Najee, kind of thing.
I'd agree with that. Curious to hear your thoughts on Tua. I personally feel like he should just take the year off. Yeah, like
I think they after just listen to the doctors going forward. Whatever they tell him to do, take the year off, play in 6 weeks. I don't know. Just listen to the doctors, for God's sake.
Yeah, dude. After that type of hit to the head,
that was bad. That was really bad.
I'd be scared, dude. I gotta address this real quickly. Like, I saw people on Twitter that were like, "Oh, you guys throwing up gangs." It's like, dude, it's literally a neural response. It's a fencing position. Him doing that with his fingers is the scariest fucking thing you can see, because that's basically a disconnect between his brain signals to his body. Like, that, as soon as I saw his fingers go like that, I'm like, dude, like, this is serious. Like, that's a disconnect. That's a neural response.
And the other thing too is like, because I listened to Dr. Jesse Morris did a video on the concussion last week, and he said, like, this guy, like, they should all get fired.
Yes. Well, I mean, like
even going back into the game last week, they were like, they should all be fired for that, because that was clearly like, I didn't work on it, but I can tell you that's concussion symptoms enough to the point that even if he didn't have symptoms, he might have had them in a couple days, and he should not have gone back into that game. And he's like, if he plays this week, like this, he could legitimately die. Like, if he takes that.
Man, like, I've had fucking 3 concussions. I'm not a doc. I've had 3 concussions, and like, it was clear as day he had a fucking concussion. Anybody try to back spasms? Get out of here, man. No fucking shot. This guy got up and he couldn't freaking balance himself. And it bothers me, because like, concussions are the scariest injury, bar none, that you can possibly have. I don't care. Shred my knee, shred my ACL, shred my fucking Achilles.
The only one I would argue
don't take my brain.
Similar is like spinal injuries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all connected, brain, spinal, right? Because I mean, like, it's all on that same track.
That was the second. The worst injury I've ever seen in football was Shazier. The second worst injury is the one that I just saw with Tua.
The one that's relatively close, a similar situation to Tua, is last year with Donald Parham. He had the same fencing reaction.
Yeah,
as soon as he got hurt, his arms went up. And that, like, what I feel like people just like forgot that happened last year. Like, as soon as that happened, like, how have we not raised the concussion awareness to the point where it just happens to Tua a year later? It's
well, I think Parham he wasn't coming off of a game where he was concussed. I think it happened in that moment.
No, I know, but I mean, like, people have to know the severity of concussions. As soon as they saw something like that,
I think people know the severity. I think the protocols were just kind of, and I do think that there's going to be some kind of discipline.
NFLPA is going to find it
any way that they can say that there was not, due diligence done there. Anyways, let's move off the topic.
Very animated.
Super flex. Are we going Stroud or Young or Bijan 101? I think it's Robinson. I haven't seen enough from the quarterbacks to say that they're like Trevor Lawrence caliber guys, or even like, I mean, if Trevor Lawrence wasn't in that class, let me rephrase. If Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance was in this coming class as prospects, would we take them over Robinson or no?
Yes. Trey Lance.
It's close. I don't know if it's a guarantee, but I think those guys, all of them, were better prospects than Stroud and Young.
I would say Trey Lance, 100%. Third overall draft capital, dual
I
threat
think Lance for
profile.
Sure, but Fields and Wilson too would also be kind of in conversation. I think you could make the argument for Bijan over those guys, but for sure, Bijan to me is still the 101 until I see some outrageous like play from Young and Stroud. They have concerns. Like Stroud, not a very mobile guy. Young, size concerns, all that kind of stuff. They're going to get high draft capital. I have no doubt in my mind about that. But the Bijan thing, he's going to be a top 15, top 20 NFL draft pick most likely. And honestly, the more he slides, the better a team that he goes to. So it's honestly not the worst thing if he's like a late first round pick either.
Agreed. Taysom worth it at tight end with Winston out over Freiermuth. Now go with Freiermuth.
Yeah, 100% Freiermuth.
He is not a top 5 rookie pick, but he's definitely a first rounder.
If he keeps playing the way he is and the receivers keep disappointing, he's going to be close.
My problem with that is he projects way more to be a TJ Hawkinson level tight end than he does like a George Kittle, Darren Waller, given the projected athleticism. So if I'm taking like the tight end 6 on a year-to-year basis, like, I would just much rather take the upside shot or receiver.
See, but I don't agree from a dynasty value perspective, because I think the second Michael Mayer is in the NFL, he's going to be a top 5 dynasty tight end, and potentially even higher than that.
Potentially, but unless he shows, that elite ceiling, like how
he's showing it in college right now, is why I think he's such like he's showing not necessarily what Pitts did from like an athleticism standpoint his final year, but like his production level that we saw from Pitts' final season, we're seeing out of Mayer right now. And I think I wouldn't be mad at anybody for saying like I'm going to pick him 107 or something right now. Like I would still take the top 2 running backs, Jordan Addison, the top 2 quarterbacks, 100%, and probably JSN as well over him. But if you wanted to take him right after those guys, over Boutte, over Gibbs, over anybody, Will Levis, any other quarterbacks, I wouldn't blame anybody for taking Michael Mayer, especially because he mentions 2 in tight end premium. Like 106, I think is fine.
I'm just gonna go with the value at the flex positions. Also, my boy JJ McCarthy missed a wide open 55-yard touchdown, overthrew him.
Yeah,
pain.
We play West Virginia tonight, which is weird. I thought we were playing Iowa State, but I guess I think Ewers is expected to come back next week, or at least try to make his comeback next week. So hopefully we have him for that, because I don't want to watch more Hudson Card.
These people, I agree with you fully there, Corey. It's just like it's gross.
Yeah, like,
but the thing is like people don't know when to draw the line between making.
Yeah, they're like trying to make memes out of it. And it's like, dude, like chill out,
dude. Like
wait till he's okay and stuff. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us. As always, if you guys are not members of the Patreon and you're listening to this once it's live on YouTube afterwards, you can be part of these live streams. We got to every question. We weren't rushed. That's the best part about these Sunday or these Saturday live streams, is that you guys get, in-depth answers to your questions, because on the Sunday morning live stream and the Thursday nights and the Monday nights, there's a lot of questions. We can't really get to everything. So if you want to be part of these, patreon.com/fantasy stock exchange. If you want to re-listen to the news, we talked about that for the first 7 minutes or so. You can go back and check that out. We will be live tomorrow morning around 11:30 a.m. I'm coming back. I'm going to my cottage right after I'm hopping off of here, but I'll come back in the morning, and I'll probably just be listening to the Vikings Saints game on the radio for the first half or whatever. But anyways, make sure to tune in for that. Check out the video that Danny put out earlier today. The running back starts and sits was a little delayed. It came out tomorrow, this morning, instead of
been sick all week
Friday, but it is live right now. If you guys have running back questions, you can go check out that video. Danny covers all the usage and all the stuff that we do over here. So make sure to check that out.
Joe, just going to quickly say those are typically going to come out on Friday. I've actually been battling the flu all week, so apologies for the late release on that video. But either way, it'll help you guys make those decisions going into Sunday slate. But peace out, you guys. 52 minutes. 8 of you still left in here. Enjoy your weekend, whether you're golfing, whether you're spending time with the family. Enjoy your Saturday, because we all know Sunday is dedicated to football.
Oh, and it's an all-day slate tomorrow. So
baby.
So yeah, definitely check it out. Everything we talked about. Peace out, guys.
Peace.